All right, peace and blessings, brothers and sisters. So, this is a quick little study on the book of Revelations, chapter 10. And in the book of Revelations, chapter 10, it speaks about an angel that came down from heaven. Okay, and there's a lot of symbols in this book that deals with nature. Okay, such as the cloud, such as the rainbow, such as the sun, such as the pillars of fire. Okay, and in order to understand this, you need a little understanding of science. You don't need to know all the intricacies of science, but you at least need to have a basic understanding of science. Because in Revelation chapter 10, this is dealing with the water cycle. If you understand the water cycle, you can understand a simple understanding of Revelation chapter 10. So in Revelation chapter 10, we're going to start at verse 1. Notice what it says. And I saw another mighty angel come down from heaven, clothed with a cloud, and a rainbow was upon his head, and his face was as it were the sun, and his feet as pillars of fire. So right here is talking about nature, the things that we see in nature: cloud, rainbow, sun, fire. Okay? Verse 2, and he had in his hand a little book open, and he set his right foot upon the sea and his left foot on the earth. Okay, right here, brothers and sisters, it says that he set his right foot upon the sea and his left foot on the earth. The reason he is doing this, because this represents the water cycle. Okay, now remember, his feet were as what? Pillars of fire. I want you to look at this picture. Look at this picture, brothers and sisters. This is the water cycle. Okay, let me find which one should we use. Let's look at this picture. Okay, you see the water cycle? The sun, which causes fire and heat, the heat from the sun causes the waters to evaporate. Okay, when those waters evaporate, they are then carried to the earth. Okay, so the waters rise up, then those waters are carried to the earth, they produce clouds, and then those clouds drop down the rain. Okay, this is the water cycle. This is exactly what we're looking at, what we're reading about in Revelation chapter 10. Here's another picture. See how the sun causes the waters to evaporate from the sea, then they're carried to the earth, and they drop down the rain. Okay? So let's go back. Let's go back to the scripture. So Revelation chapter 10, verse 2, he had in his hand a little book open, and he set his right foot upon the sea and his left foot on the earth. Okay, so when he does this, brothers and sisters, this represents the water cycle. This angel is the angel or the messenger Elijah. Okay, and I'm gonna prove that in a minute. So he sets his right foot upon the sea and his left foot on the earth. So it represents two different dwellings. Just like when a cloud is formed, the cloud rises up from the sea, then it's carried to the earth. Okay, let's read the story of Elijah. Let's look at 1 Kings chapter 18, verse 41 through 45. Notice what it says. And Elijah said unto Ahab, Get thee up, eat and drink, for there is a sound of abundance of rain. Now remember, well, let's continue first. So Ahab went up to eat and to drink, And Elijah went up to the top of Carmel, and he cast himself down upon the earth and his face between his knees, and said to his servant, Go up now, look toward the sea. And he went up and looked and said, There is nothing. And he said, Go again 7 times. And it came to pass at the 7th time that he said, Behold, there arises a little cloud out of the sea, like a man's hand. And he said, Go up, say unto Ahab, Prepare thy chariot, get thee down, that the rain stop thee not. And it came to pass in the meanwhile that the heaven was black with clouds and wind, and there was a great rain. And Ahab rode and went to Jezreel. So right here, brothers and sisters, Elijah the prophet had the power to cause the water cycle. He had power. He prayed 7 times, and after that 7th time, the sea brought forth a cloud. That's the water cycle. And that cloud brought forth the waters upon the land. Elijah represents this angel in Revelation chapter 10. Okay? Let's look at verse 3. And cried with a loud voice as when a lion roareth. And when he had cried, 7 thunders uttered his voices. Remember, Elijah prayed 7 times. Okay? Now, it says, when he cried, 7 thunders uttered their voices. What happens after thunder, brothers and sisters? Thunder announced the coming of rain. Okay? Thunder announced the coming of rain. Okay? Now, what does this represent? This represents, brothers and sisters, because it has a literal meaning and has a spiritual meaning. The literal meaning is the water cycle that we just seen. Okay, let's look at it one more time. This represents the water cycle. That's why he puts his feet upon the sea and upon the land. Okay, now in the spiritual sense, brothers and sisters, this represents the transatlantic slave trade. Why does this represent the transatlantic slave trade? Because just as the water brought forth the cloud, and then the cloud was carried unto another land, we, the children of Israel in America, we were taken from our homeland and brought here to America. Okay? The same way the water cycle happens. The water raises us up and brings us to another land, brothers and sisters. Okay? If we look at, let's go back. If we look at Job chapter 12, verse 15. Behold, he withholdeth the waters, and they dry up. Also he sendeth them out, and they overturn the earth. Okay, this is the water cycle, brothers and sisters. The water cycle is symbolic of what happened to us children of Israel in America. Okay, we were once in the land of Africa or the surrounding countries, and then we were taken from our land and brought here to America. Okay, the same way as the water cycle. This is why you need a little understanding of science, because science is our original teacher. Books are not our original teacher. Nature was our original teacher. Okay, you can learn about history just by studying nature. So the same way the cloud was taken up from the sea and brought forth to the created the cloud, and then the cloud dropped down the rain. That's what happened to us, brothers and sisters. We were taken from our homeland, brought here to America, and then we made America prosperous. We made America fruitful and abundant. We built up America. Okay? Why didn't we build up Africa? Why didn't we build up our homeland? Right? So one area dried up, Africa is dried up, and now we have made America abundant. We made America fruitful. We are the waters, brothers and sisters. We are the waters that was carried away from our homeland and brought here to America, and we made America fruitful. See, what we were supposed to be doing as slaves here in America, we are supposed to be building up our wealth, saving up all our money, and then going back to our land and making that land prosperous. That's what we was originally supposed to do. Okay? But everybody started doing their own thing. But we supposed to have been saving our wealth, taking all that riches and abundance, and then going back to our homeland and building up the land the same way we have built up America. Okay? I want you to look at something else. Now, who is Elijah in these times? Elijah was Haile Selassie, brothers and sisters, the one they call Jah. That's why his name is Jah, which is short for Elijah. Okay? Now, you can look this up. You can look this up on the internet. Okay, if you put in absent fathers, Garvey, scattered children, and the Back to Africa movement. Okay, if some of you all know about Marcus Garvey had the Back to Africa movement. The same way the waters have to go back into the sea. We were transported from our original land and brought here to America. That's what the water cycle represents. That's what the book of Revelations chapter 10, the angel setting his foot upon the sea and the earth. It represents the Eastern world and it represents the Western world, which is America. Okay? Now, these are the words of Haile Selassie. It says, tell the people to come home. Here their race originated, and here it can be lifted up to its highest plane of youthfulness and honor. Assure them of the cordiality with which I invite them back to the homeland, particularly those qualified to help solve our big problem. This is the message from His Highness Rastafari, who is also known as Haile Selassie, who is also known as Jah, which is short for Elijah. Okay, Haile Selassie is the one telling us to come back home. He is the one who planted his feet upon the sea and the earth, because he is the one who's bringing the message to bring us back to our homeland, the same way the waters came out of the sea and went upon the land. That was the transatlantic slave trade, brothers and sisters. Okay, let me see. Notice what it says. Africa, like a bereaved mother, holds out her hand to America and implores you to send back her exiled children. And what a mystery when the youthful patriarch, lost to his father, was sold into slavery. Send them home instructed and civilized, and imbued with the pure principles of Christianity. This was Marcus Garvey's message to us slaves here in America. So basically, Marcus Garvey was the messenger of Haile Selassie, okay, in a sense. And his message was to bring back the children, the slave children, bring them back. The same way the water, I'm going to keep saying, the same way the water comes up out of the sea and then is brought forth up on the land. This is what happened to us, brothers and sisters. The water cycle teaches us this. We were taken up from our land, okay, taken up from the sea, and then we were brought forth to the land of America. Okay, Elijah, brothers and sisters, is Haile Selassie, Jah Rastafari. That's why his name was Jah, okay, which is short for Elijah. He is the one that's calling us back home. Okay, so this is what happened to us, brothers and sisters. The water cycle has become a real thing in our lives. We have been taken, we have been caught up. We have been caught up and brought here to the land of America. And that's what Revelation chapter 10 is all about. That's what the angel represents. The angel who set his foot upon the earth and the sea. Okay? Now, it's a little bit more intricate when we start dealing with the seven thunders. Okay? But I'm not here to speak on those seven thunders. I know what the seven thunders are, but that's a little more intricate. This is a basic understanding of Revelation chapter 10. Okay? You need a little bit of understanding of science to understand these things. These things will become a whole lot easier to understand if you know a little bit about science. You don't have to know a lot, but you need to have a little understanding of science to understand these things, brothers and sisters. Okay? So, for those of you who can understand this, I hope you gain a better understanding of this. Okay? Elijah is this angel. Okay, Elijah is this angel, and he is the one through Haile Selassie who is bringing forth the message to come back home. Come back home. We've been taken. We've been scattered. Okay? We've been caught. We've been caught, brothers and sisters, and we've been brought here to America. Okay? So, hopefully this message relates to you. And also, this is how we know Elijah is the one that this is about. Because in 1 Kings chapter 17, verse 1, notice what it says. And Elijah the Tishbite, who was of the inhabitants of Gilead, said unto Ahab, As the Lord God of Israel liveth, before whom I stand, there shall not be dew nor rain these years, but according to my word. Okay, so Elijah had power to send forth rain. Okay, and where does the rain come from? It comes from the sea. Where does the dew come from? The dew comes forth from the earth. Okay, so he had power to raise up, and he had powers to bring down. Okay, powers to raise up, powers to bring down. Okay, so the angel in Revelation chapter 10 is Elijah, brothers and sisters. And we can see this through the antitype and the type. Okay, so the Old Testament is really just the foreshadowing of the New Testament. Everything in the New Testament can be understood by understanding the Old Testament, even the book of Revelations. Okay, so peace and blessings to those who've listened to this video, and until next time, peace.